Hello, and welcome back to another episode of 10-Minute Concert Insights, Schubert Club's version of the pre-concert lecture. My name is Mark Bilyeu, and it's always a treat to share just a few minutes together, exploring another outstanding concert presented by the Schubert Club. This time, it's pianist Garrick Ohlsson, along with violist Richard O'Neill, in works by Franz Schubert, Florence Price, and Sergei Rachmaninoff. The program is dappled with lovely shorter works, transcriptions of Schubert Lieder, some works for solo piano, one of my personal favorites, Rachmaninoff's Etude Tableau, Opus 39, number 5, and two large-scale sonatas which anchor the program. First of those is Schubert's Arpeggione Sonata. Now, many musical works are given colorful or distinctive titles by their publishers and not the composers themselves. This is often to drum up excitement or intrigue for the public who will purchase the music because of capitalism. Beethoven's Moonlight Sonata is an excellent example of this. So you might ask yourself, what exactly does this title Arpeggione mean? In my early training, I assumed the title indicated that there were a lot of arpeggios, sort of like an etude. Or maybe you'd ask yourself, who is this Mr. or Mrs. Arpeggione who commissioned a sonata from Schubert? All wonderings are valid, yet the question we should be asking ourselves is not who is Arpeggione, but what is Arpeggione? Well, the Arpeggione is a stringed instrument which results when a cello and a guitar intersect. It's got 6 strings, tuned like a guitar, but bowed like a cello. It's held like a cello, although there is no end pin, and the fingerboard has frets, those little raised bridges like a guitar. It is sometimes called, rather uncreatively, the guitar violoncello or the guitar d'amour, which I think has a much lovelier ring to it. The instrument was created in 1823, and in 1824, Schubert was, we believe, commissioned by his friend and a musician considered to be a virtuoso arpeggione player, Vincenz Schuster. The work, like so much of Schubert's music, was published only after his death, in this case, 45 years after his passing, and by that time, the instrument had fallen out of fashion and no one was really playing the arpeggione anymore. The publishers recognized this and included a version for cello in the first printing. Although its origins might lead it to be labeled simply a propaganda piece for the instrument, it is a testament to Schubert's innate skills that the work continues on despite the instrument not. It has been adapted for nearly every stringed instrument. We get to hear it with viola on this program. James Galway arranged it for the flute. There is also a version for brass euphonium and, unsurprisingly, the saxophone. That instrument can play literally anything. Shout out to last year's featured artist, Jess Gillum. 75 years after Schubert penned the Arpeggione, a 25-year-old Rachmaninoff wasn't sure he would ever write again. The premiere of his first symphony was a total flop. Multiple factors collided to make the premiere of the work, now seen largely as an excellent example of Russia's symphony tradition, an absolute disaster. It is never a good omen when the conductor says to the composer, "Forgive me, but I do not find this music at all agreeable." After 3 years, the situation was dire, and desperate times called for unique measures. He went to a hypnotist named Dr. Nikolai Dahl. According to Rachmaninoff, my relatives had informed Dr. Dahl that he must by all means cure me of my apathetic condition and bring about such results that I would again be able to compose. Dahl had inquired what kind of composition was desired of me, and he was informed a concerto for pianoforte, which I had given up in despair of ever writing. In consequence, I heard repeated day after day the same hypnotic formula as I lay half somnolent in an armchair in Dr. Dahl's consulting room. You will start to compose a concerto. You will work with the greatest of ease. The composition will be of excellent quality. Always it was the same, without interruption. Although it may seem impossible to believe, this treatment really happened to me. I began to compose again at the beginning of the summer. And thus, Rachmaninoff's Piano Concerto No. 2 was born. It was that same summer that he began work on a sonata for cello and piano. The two works premiered just 2 months apart from each other, with Rachmaninoff the pianist for both premieres. Rachmaninoff himself said that it was not for cello with piano accompaniment, but for two instruments in equal balance. Anatoly Brandukov was the cellist who premiered the work with Rachmaninoff. He would later go on to be the best man in Rachmaninoff's wedding. Now, unlike César Franck or Olivier Messiaen, whose music is so unequivocally tied to their faith, Rachmaninoff's religiosity was less overt, but no less present in his output. I love this story told by Charlie Chaplin, of all people, in his autobiography. He said, Rachmaninoff was a strange-looking man with something aesthetic and cloistral about him. Someone brought the topic around to religion, and I confessed that I was not a believer. Rachmaninoff quickly interposed. But how can you have art without religion? I was stumped for a moment. I don't think we are talking about the same thing, I said. My concept of religion is a belief about dogma, and art is a feeling more than a belief. So is religion, he answered. After that, I shut up. The English cellist Stephen Isserlis does a beautiful job of connecting Rachmaninoff's faith with this sonata. He writes, having suffered a nervous breakdown after the catastrophic failure of his first symphony in 1897, Rachmaninoff had fought his way back to mental and creative health. Surely it is not fanciful to hear an echo of this in the struggles of the first movement, with its conflict between semitones and whole tones, in the dark night of the scherzo, and then in the blazing joy of the finale. No bearded Russian priest with his Easter cry, Christ is risen, can ever have sounded more triumphant than the cello does as it announces the glorious second theme of this movement. The whole sonata, imbued as it is with the classical discipline that is so vital a feature of all Rachmaninoff's music, encompasses a vast range of romantic emotion, a journey of the soul. The music offered by these artists, as with all the programs presented by the Schubert Club, is sure to offer us not only all of that romantic emotion, but even something more necessary. Beauty in the midst of so much ugliness, and a moment of rest for the work ahead. We will see you next time here at the Schubert Club.